r/AskReddit. What was the weirdest black market in your school? Mountain Dew and Pepsi had a contest where college names were printed on the inside of the bottle caps. If that school won the NCAA March Madness tournament, you could send it in for the jersey of your choice from any school. Suddenly, a black market for caps with blue-chip schools was born. I remember selling a Duke cap for $10, then turning around and buying 10 drinks from the vending machine. This one girl forged apology letters if you brought her something one of your parents wrote. I never used her services myself, but we were, and still are, good friends, and I gotta say, she's talented as hell. I literally can't tell which one is mine after she copied something I wrote, including signature. It's baffling. She's the kind of person DiCaprio would approach if he needs a shapeshifter in a dream heist. Lol, when I was in 3rd grade I was just not understanding math, like at all. So I decided that I wasn't going to do it anymore, so I gave up trying in class and just didn't do any math homework. My teacher sent a note home with me to my parents that basically said, "Your kid is struggling and not doing his homework. Are you okay with this?" And there was a space for my parents to sign off that they'd seen the note. I managed to hide the note from my parents and forge my dad's signature exactly as he would have written it and turned it in the next day. Teacher didn't believe that my parents wouldn't give a stuff about their kid not doing his homework, and I had to go into a parent-teacher-student meeting a day later and sit there and get reamed out by the teacher and my parents for forging the signature. Still didn't get any help with math though, but on the way home Dad told me he was actually very impressed at how well I did it, and I probably could have gotten away with it if I hadn't used a purple-colored pencil to sign it with, but I should never do it again. I can still forge signatures really well, but I have no need to do it. So it's kind of a useless superpower lol. Our middle school tried to start a reward program. It turned out to be a fail of epic proportion. Wolf Bucks. Names after our mascot. There were many sized dollars color-coded by value. Green was $1, red was $5, blue was $10, and a gold wolf buck, only accessible to the principal and assistant principal $50. Now the school bought erasers, pencil, notebooks. You could only buy with wolf bucks 1 pencil, 1 wolf buck. First failure, it was easy to copy. So kids started mass copying them. OK Shield got smart and said only accepting wolf bucks with your name and have your teacher's signature. Second failure, kept the same color. So kids would earn one legitimately, then the forgery started. Third failure, hyperinflation. During pep rallies, the principal started throwing golden wolf bucks. Eventually the school stopped resupplying the store. Everyone had hundreds thousands of worthless wolf bucks. Harry Potter books. I went to a religious school where books that had magic or fantasy was banned. Parents of these kids were just as religious, so kids couldn't get them from their parents. Mom didn't care and she let me buy a few for some friends, and then more kids started requesting them. Charged double for what they were worth, and the kids were more than happy to pay. Most popular requests were Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings and Cirque du Freak series. It also made money making customized covers for the books so it looked like they were reading something else. I should probably mention that this was a Muslim school. This happened in Los Angeles in the mid-80s. Student bus passes had to be purchased by the 5th day of the month or you were stuck having to pay daily. The date had passed, so I found a guy in my high school willing to trade another student's pass which he had stolen. I traded a tangerine and half a pack of cigarettes for a copy of Penthouse. Then I traded that issue with a pizza from the cafeteria for the bus pass. That sounds like the episode of Atlanta where they trade a cell phone for a sword, then sword for a dog, then went to breed the dog to make money off the pups. Not really a black market, but there was a stuffed tape, VHS days, that used to do the rounds. There was a booking system and everything. You couldn't have it for more than 2 days. A booking system, yeah, man. It was well run. It's amazing what a group of focused stuffy teenagers can achieve. This wasn't a weird one, but a genius one for a tween. A girl set up a little business out of a box of stationery, writing forged letters from parents. She had all different paper, pens and pencils of every kind, and could write in convincingly accurate tone for the content of the notes depending on which kid they were for. She used different styles of handwriting and different styles of punctuation and language too. She'd even fudge the spelling if she thought the kid's parents weren't great at it. She grew up to be incredibly educated. I look back and see that as her first moment of evil genius. It definitely suggested she would go on to brilliance one day, and she did. One of my friends sold Starburst from his locker. 10 cents for 2. If he liked you, you got 2 from the normal bag. If he didn't like you, you got 2 from the bag that only had yellows. I kind of like the yellow ones. Diddle paper. It's colored paper with a mouse drawn on it. But everyone collected them, no matter how old. And there were hundreds of different artworks. People had folders with protective covers, and depending on the motive and variety you wanted to trade, you could get 3 to 4 others in exchange. It was wild. I just googled it and there are still collectors buying and selling them on the internet. Oh. Deedle stationery. One of my aunts had a stuffed mouse from that. In early elementary school we had to market for mud. Different groups of kids would claim areas around the school as their mud pit and put their brand of mud in Ziploc bags to be traded with other groups for different bags of mud. We were the clay mud group, and I had about 3 kids in the muck scooping it into bags or running to the water fountain to get fresh water to make more mud on dry days. I would be the one to go make the deals with the other groups. We traded a lot with the gravel mud group because clay mud and cement mud are both good for building or some stuff. Who knows? It made so much sense at the time. The principal and staff eventually stepped in to end it because all the kids came back to class filthy every day and giant holes littered every field and playground. It made so much sense at the time. I loved this. I remember things like this making so much sense as a kid, and as an adult it's just hard to remember why it made sense. But that feeling is still there. I think it's called imagination, but I've been paying taxes and a mortgage for too long to be sure. Edit. Love all the stories about your childhood imaginations. Thank you. I had a friend that used to bring a bunch of Coke cans from home and then sell them for $1 at lunch. Cheaper than the vending machine prices, and so it became like a little business. He eventually saved up enough for a longboard. My son does this. I take him to the discount store to bulk buy drinks and sweets. He makes a nice little profit. You are a parent to be proud of. A teacher at my high school that I refused to rat on would take money from students and buy them lottery ticket scratch-offs in exchange for a cut of any prize $50 and up. I think the dude legit made a few $1,000s off of this just during my senior year. And it made the students love him. My teachers had a legit stuff betting pool for how long until we went online at the beginning of the year. Some seniors were allowed in on it and one of them won like $800. I wouldn't say it was weird, but my friend in high school had like a prepper granddad waiting for Y2K. He literally had crates filled with cartons of off-brand cigarettes. So my friend would steal a few cartons, bring them to me, and I'd sell them out of my locker. I'd charge $3 a pack, he'd get $1 and I'd get the other 2. Or 50 cents for loose cigarettes, and we'd just split it down the middle. I only kept like 6 packs in a pencil case, 5 whole and 1 open for the loose ones to sell, in my locker at a time. He'd have the rest in his locker at the other end of school and I'd just go refill as needed between classes or at lunch. One time a teacher called the cops because I was acting suspicious. They pulled me out of class and brought in a stuffed dog to search my locker. I'd just sold my last Lucy and packed like 10 minutes before that. The dog didn't find anything but the cops went through everything anyway. When he opened the pencil box, there were little shreds of tobacco inside. He asked, "What's this?" and I said, "Well, it's a pencil box. I'd guess it's probably pencil shavings," and he just shrugged and put it back. Went right back to selling cigarettes the next day. Oh. I'd also trade 1 Lucy for a meal ticket. That's how our lunch system worked, and would also sell the meal tickets for $1 each and split that with my buddy too. Our elementary school utilized ice cream tickets. You got one if it was your birthday or if you did something that a teacher decided was exemplary. People would pass them around asking for favors down the line. Some kid found the paper used to make the tickets and Xerox multiple pages of the tickets. He became our kingpin and ruled for a couple years. We had the same thing. It was called the chili cow machine. I remember it being like a Frosty from Wendy's. Our currency was wooden tokens with a picture of a cartoon cow on them. About 1 inch across and 1/4 thick. Well, I had a game at home, with identical tokens minus the cow pic. I cannot remember the name of the game. Well, it was kids who ran the machine during lunch, so for about a week my few friends and I got free chili cows until a teacher caught on. Spent 3 days in school suspension.